Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be talking about something that I personally find really fascinating, and that's AI in mental health.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we've got some really interesting stuff to dig into. We found some good research articles, a really thought-provoking opinion piece, and even a paper about how religious organizations are involved in trauma support.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to explore how AI has the potential to totally revolutionize how we approach mental health care, but of course, no deep dive would be complete without looking at the potential downsides as well. So we'll be sure to touch on those too.
Right. Yeah, it's important to consider all sides.
Exactly. And get this, the whole idea of using AI in mental health, it's not as new as you might think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the roots actually go all the way back to the 1960s.
Wow, back in the 60s, I had no idea.
I know, right? So back then, they created this thing called ELIZA.
The Liza.
Yeah, it was like the very first attempt at using AI in the mental health field.
So, like a very early version of a chatbot or something.
Exactly. It was basically a chatbot designed to kind of act like a therapist.
A chatbot therapist in the 60s. That's
I
wild.
know, right? So Eliza used this pretty basic pattern matching to respond to whatever the user typed in. It would basically just reflect back their statements, in a way that kind of mimicked a Rogerian therapist.
Oh, I see. So like that therapy approach where the therapist mostly listens and reflects back what they hear.
Exactly. But of course, Eliza wasn't actually understanding or processing the information the way a human therapist would. It was more like a clever illusion than true AI.
Right, so more of a technological trick than real artificial intelligence.
Yeah, pretty much. But even though it was simple, Eliza was a huge first step.
Yeah, it must have been groundbreaking at the time.
Oh, absolutely. It really opened people's minds to the possibility of using machines to interact with humans in a therapeutic setting.
That's really cool. So what happened next? How did we go from ELIZA to the much more sophisticated AI systems we see in mental health today?
Well, the technology back then was seriously limited by the computing power available and the lack of data.
Right. I can imagine things were a lot different back then.
Totally different. But then came the real turning point. The rise of machine learning, natural language processing, and the explosion of digital health data.
Ah, so things started really taking off when we had more data and better ways to process it.
Exactly. We're talking about electronic health records, social media posts, even data from wearables.
Wow, that's a ton of information for AI to learn from.
Right. This explosion of data gave AI this massive amount of information to learn from, and that's when things got really interesting.
So AI went from basic pattern matching to actually learning and adapting from real-world data.
Exactly. And that enabled AI to evolve from those early chatbots like Eliza into systems that could analyze complex information, recognize really intricate patterns, and even make predictions about someone's mental state.
That's incredible. So is AI already being used in practical ways in mental health care today?
Oh, absolutely. It's already making a real difference in a variety of ways. One area where it's having a big impact is in diagnosis.
Diagnosis, how does that work?
Well, AI algorithms can analyze huge data sets, like I mentioned before, things like medical records, social media activity, even voice patterns. And they can use this data to detect conditions like depression or anxiety potentially earlier and more accurately than traditional methods.
Wow, so AI could help catch these conditions before they become serious problems.
Exactly. It's all about early detection.
That's amazing. So you're saying AI could be analyzing something like my Twitter feed and pick up on signs of depression?
It's possible. Imagine an AI system analyzing someone's tweets. It could pick up on subtle shifts in language, like if someone starts using more negative words or changes how often they post.
That's fascinating. So things that a human might not even notice.
Right. These are patterns that a human clinician might miss, especially if they're only seeing a patient for short appointments.
I see. So AI can help fill in those gaps.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to diagnosis. AI is also being used to develop personalized treatment plans.
Personalized treatment plans. Tell me more about that.
So basically, AI can analyze your individual data, your genetics, your lifestyle, even how you responded to past treatments. And it uses all of this information to create a treatment plan that's tailored to your specific needs.
That's incredible. So it's like having a treatment plan that's custom designed just for you.
Exactly. It's a huge step away from the one-size-fits-all approach to mental health care.
I can definitely see the benefits of that.
Yeah.
Are there any actual platforms that are doing this kind of personalized treatment planning right now?
Yeah, there's one called MindStrong. That's pretty cool. It analyzes data from your smartphone, things like how fast you type and how you interact with the screen.
Interesting. So it's looking at our everyday digital interactions.
Yep. And it uses that data to detect changes in your cognition and mental state.
Wow, so it's like having a mental health assistant in my pocket.
Pretty much. And then there's the whole world of virtual therapy, which is really taking off right now.
Virtual therapy. You mean like therapy through video calls?
Yeah, but it goes beyond that. We're talking about AI-powered tools like chatbots and virtual therapists.
Hmm. I've heard about those.
Hmm.
But I'm a little skeptical. Can they really provide meaningful support?
Well, there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that they can be quite effective, especially for delivering specific types of therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT.
Oh, CBT, right? I've heard of that.
Yeah, CBT focuses on identifying and changing negative thought patterns and behaviors, and it turns out that AI is pretty good at helping people with that.
So you could be having text conversations with a chatbot that's actually helping you manage your anxiety or depression.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing. There are even apps like Wombat and Wise that use conversational AI to provide CBT-based interventions.
Really? So you can access these tools right from your phone?
Right from your phone. They offer exercises, coping strategies, even personalized feedback.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially for people who might not have easy access to traditional therapy for whatever reason.
Absolutely. AI is definitely making mental health care much more accessible. And then there's the whole area of mental health monitoring, which is also seeing a lot of innovation.
Mental health monitoring. What
Yes.
does that involve?
So wearables and smartphone apps are now using AI to continuously track things like your mood, your sleep patterns, your activity levels, even things like typing speed and screen interactions.
Wow, so they're tracking pretty much everything we do on our devices. Doesn't that seem a little invasive?
It's definitely something to think about, and we'll be sure to delve into those privacy concerns later on in our discussion.
Okay, good, because that's something I'm really curious about.
I hear ya, but for now, just think about the potential benefits of this kind of monitoring. Imagine a system that could actually flag potential issues before they escalate into major problems.
So, like, it could warn you that you might be heading for a depressive episode or something.
Exactly. It's like having an early warning system for your mental health.
That's pretty amazing. So AI could be like a watchful guardian, constantly analyzing data to make sure you're doing okay.
Precisely. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The potential of AI to transform mental health care is truly remarkable.
It sounds like it, but as with any powerful technology, we need to be careful, right?
Absolutely. We have to approach it with a critical eye and address the potential challenges head on.
Right, because I can imagine there are some downsides to consider as well.
Definitely. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. So get ready to explore the other side of the coin, the challenges and limitations of AI in mental health. Okay, so we've talked about all this amazing potential of AI in mental health, but I know you mentioned some challenges and ethical considerations too. What are some of the things we need to watch out for?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that AI systems can make mistakes, just like human clinicians can.
Oh, really?
Yeah, AI algorithms, they can misinterpret data or make inaccurate predictions.
So even with all the advances in technology, there's still a chance that AI could get it wrong when it comes to diagnosing or treating mental health conditions.
It's definitely a possibility, and that's why it's so important for people not to put too much trust in AI's recommendations without maybe getting a second opinion from a human clinician. AI should really be seen as a tool to assist mental health professionals, not replace them entirely.
That makes a lot of sense. We need to be careful about relying solely on AI's judgments, especially when we're talking about something as complex as mental health. What other challenges are there?
Another big one is ensuring that AI systems are developed and used in a way that respects and protects patient privacy. I mean, we're dealing with really sensitive personal data here, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, all that stuff, and we need to handle this information responsibly.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that AI needs massive amounts of data to really work well. So how can we make sure all that data is protected and used ethically?
That's a big question, and honestly something researchers and policymakers are still working on. One thing that's really important is developing strong data security measures to prevent, unauthorized access or data breaches.
So it's not just about keeping the data safe from hackers.
It's more than that. It's also about transparency and control. People need to understand, what data is being collected, how it's being used, and who has access to it.
Right, that makes sense.
And they should have the right to say no to data collection or ask for their data to be deleted if they want.
It sounds like informed consent is crucial when we're talking about AI and mental health.
Absolutely. Patients need to be active participants in decisions about how their data is used. And we also need to be really careful about using AI in ways that could stigmatize or discriminate against certain individuals or groups.
How could AI contribute to stigma or discrimination in mental health?
Well, one concern is that if AI systems are trained on biased data sets, they could end up perpetuating existing stereotypes or inequalities. Like, imagine an AI system that's trained mostly on data from white, middle-class individuals.
Okay, yeah.
It might not be as accurate or effective when it's used with people from different racial or socioeconomic backgrounds, and
Yeah.
that could lead to disparities in care.
That's a really important point. We need to make sure that AI systems are trained on diverse data sets that reflect the whole spectrum of human experience.
Exactly. And we need to be mindful of how AI is used in clinical settings, too. We don't want to create systems that further marginalize or disadvantage vulnerable populations. AI should be used to promote equity and accessibility in mental health care.
Absolutely. It sounds like there's a lot of responsibility involved in developing and implementing AI in mental health. It's not just about creating cool technology, it's about using that technology in a way that benefits everyone.
Yeah, you got it. It's about finding that sweet spot between harnessing the potential of AI while also being aware of the risks and mitigating them. It requires careful consideration, ongoing research, and a real commitment to ethical development.
So, looking ahead, what are some of the big research questions we need to be asking as AI keeps evolving in the field of mental health?
Well, one area that needs more attention is the long-term impact of AI-based interventions.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of the research is focused on short-term outcomes,
Right.
but we need to understand how these interventions affect people over time. Do the benefits last? Are there any unintended consequences that we're not seeing right away?
So, we need to look beyond those initial wow moments and really dig into the long term effects.
Exactly. And we also need to continue researching how to address the ethical concerns we've been talking about. Data privacy bias, informed consent, all of that. And another exciting area is exploring those hybrid models of care where AI and human therapists work together.
Hybrid models, you mean like a combination of AI and human interaction?
Exactly. It's about combining the best of both worlds to provide truly personalized and effective mental health care.
So, what would that look like in practice?
Imagine a scenario where AI helps to create personalized treatment plans. It analyzes the patient's data, identifies potential treatment options, but then a human therapist uses their expertise, empathy, and understanding of the individual's unique situation to refine that plan and provide that ongoing support and guidance.
That sounds like a really promising approach. We get the benefits of AI, but we also keep that human element, which is so essential in therapy.
Exactly. And there's another really interesting area of research that I'm excited about, and that's using AI for prevention. Yeah,
Prevention.
what if we could use AI to identify individuals who are at risk for developing mental health conditions before they even show symptoms?
Wow, that would be amazing. But wouldn't that raise some ethical concerns about, labeling people as at risk?
It would definitely require careful consideration and ethical guidelines, but think about the potential to intervene early and maybe even prevent some of these conditions from developing in the first place.
That's a powerful idea. It sounds like the future of AI and mental health is full of possibilities, but also a lot of complex challenges.
It is, and that's why it's so important to keep having these conversations, raising awareness about both the potential benefits and the risks. We need to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits everyone.
Well said. So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are some key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think the biggest one is that AI is a powerful tool with the potential to transform mental health care, but it's not a magic solution. We need to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism and remember that AI should be used to augment human expertise, not replace it.
So, AI has this amazing potential, but we need to be super cautious and make sure it's used responsibly. What else should our listeners kind of keep in mind as we move forward with all this?
I think it's really important for people to be informed consumers when it comes to AI and mental health tools.
Yeah, like what do you mean by that?
Well, if you're thinking about using an app or a platform that uses AI for mental health, do your homework first. You know,
Where, like, research it.
exactly, like
Yeah.
understand how it works, what data it collects, what the privacy policies are, all of that.
Yeah, don't just blindly trust anything.
Right? And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Hmm.
Yeah, advocate for your own privacy and well-being.
I love that. Be an advocate for yourself. That's so important. So, as we kind of wrap up this whole discussion, is there like a main message you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that AI, it's not a replacement for human connection.
Right.
If you're struggling, Don't hesitate to reach out to a real person for support.
Yeah, like who should they reach out to?
Talk to a friend, a family member, a therapist, a crisis hotline. There are so many options. There's absolutely no shame in asking for help, and there are people out there who genuinely care and want to support you.
That is such a powerful reminder. Sometimes I get so caught up in the tech that we forget about the human side of things.
Yeah, and remember you have a voice in shaping the future of AI and mental health.
Oh, that's a good point.
Stay informed, ask questions, get involved in conversations about how this technology is being developed and used. Your input really does matter.
Well, this whole deep dive has been so insightful. We covered a lot of ground.
We did.
We explored the history of AI and mental health, its current applications, the potential it has, and those important ethical considerations that we need to be thinking about.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field with so much to explore.
And like with all our deep dives, this is really just the start of the conversation.
There's so much more to discuss, to research, to debate. Keep learning, keep asking those tough questions, challenge those assumptions, and keep talking about how we can use AI to create a mental health care system that works for everyone.
Well said. And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds engaged. We'll catch you on our next deep dive.